I went to a dinner with Matt and some other founders, and we had just opened up pre-orders, but we hadn't made any announcements about it or anything like that. I was having a conversation with some women at a table, that I had just met, and they were telling me how they put collagen in their coffee every morning, and they basically just don't have an option to make it taste better. And when I told her about my product, she was super excited. She actually went on our website, didn't even tell me she was doing this, but went through the checkout and made our first ever purchase order. So, and the really cool thing there was right after she did that, the lady next to her looked over her shoulder and did the exact same thing. And we ended up getting 7 orders that night from that one table. So, pretty incredible. That wasn't my goal at all, but, it was really cool.
Everyone, welcome. I'm here with Matt Geis and Justin Lindholm. And we're here to talk about their beverage brand, Nuvora. I'd love to hear from you guys. Tell me a little bit about Nuvora and who's it for and what is it?
Okay. So at Nuvora, we're building hydration for functional high performers that are just tired of the artificial ingredients in the sports drink industry. We're trying to shake it up. And so we're building a clean label functional drink to start with collagen and 1,500 milligrams of electrolytes.
At Nuvora, we are basically an all-natural collagen-based electrolyte drink. Our goal is to kind of fill the gap between all the artificial colors, flavors, sweeteners, and sugar in the sports drink industry, and just give high-performance people a better alternative than what's out there now.
I'd love to hear from you guys as well. Where did the idea of Nuvora start, and kind of what drives you guys to build a product like this?
It started back when I was in Miami. I was playing a lot of basketball and also working out, and I'd play for like 4 or 5 hours at a time. So after my workouts, I'd be cramped up. I'd be, basically in desperate need of electrolytes, and I wanted to find a drink that was not just, filled with all the artificial things or sugar that's in drinks nowadays today. And so I was like, why don't I just create my own and, make it as good as I possibly can.
Yeah, and I wasn't there at the formation of it, so that was all Justin, and I think he started it in his backyard. He got his hand on natural flavor samples from big flavor distributors, which is really hard to do, and then was able to just kind of taste which ones were better. And he was like, you know what, I can do this on my own.
I'd actually love to hear more about the origin of everything. What has that been like? What have been the lessons learned? And also very interested in hearing why collagen? Why is that such a big deal here?
I'll kind of take you through the whole, the way everything turned out. But so Nuvora originally began as I wanted to create a very high functioning electrolyte drink that was going to be healthy, something that I'd want to put myself in my own body after workouts and that I knew would actually work. So it started with a lot of research, a lot of months of kind of researching why companies put these certain ingredients in their products. And once you kind of learn the why, it's like, okay, can I create this drink now? And so I basically took all their ingredients. I created their own drinks from all the the big companies out there, and then I made it a much healthier version, more premium version. And I realized a lot of companies put worse ingredients in drinks to save money, to cut costs, even if it's a penny per unit or 2 pennies per unit. And the difference in the quality of those ingredients is actually pretty massive. But why collagen? Collagen is great for so many things. It's great for your joints. It's great for your skin, hair, nails. There's so many benefits of it. It's honestly insane. It makes up 60% of the protein in your body. And after age 25, you start to lose 1 to 2% every year. For athletes that are in their 30s and their 40s, it's your joints are kind of starting to wear down. You need to replenish that. You don't just need electrolytes. You need something that's actually going to keep your joints, your tendons, everything intact long term. And you see all the injuries in professional sports nowadays. There's so many out there, and in my opinion, it's due to lack of good nutrition, lack of good diet, and just being consistent with that. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You're talking about 30s and 40s, things breaking down. I'm 25 and my knees are already breaking down. So that sounds like something exact. I'd love to hear from you, Matt. You said you weren't here at the start. How'd you join the team? How'd you and Justin meet each other, and kind of what was that process like? And how has it been working with Justin on Nuvora?
Gosh, he's just the most lovely person, isn't he? Well, I started I think 5 months after he started with a mutual friend. So him and this mutual friend were working on this as a project, essentially, of like, can we create like a better drink to be able to sell it and then distribute it, which is honestly like those are the two bigger challenges than actually making the idea, I guess, and then like getting a hold of ingredients. And obviously like it takes a lot of work to balance everything too. So it's like all this work behind the scenes that I think me and Justin both didn't realize we were getting ourselves into when he started, and then when I joined 5 months later. And I joined as kind of the designer for the team because it was 3 of us, and our mutual friend kind of posted on his Instagram like, hey, I would like a designer to help us design like the label for this bottle. So that was like the first task that I started doing, was making the label for the bottle that we would print and then make on it. And over time that changed a lot. Like we started with one version, ended up with a couple others, and then completely rebranded. So I also like helped us through that with me and Justin were bouncing ideas off each other, and I was kind of like mocking things up as we went. And so now me and Justin kind of like work to our strengths, where I have maybe more technical experience. Like I've programmed a tiny bit. I know how to use digital art tools. And then Justin has some selling experience, and he has like pushed his way through making different connections in this industry that like I probably would have been way slower at making. So now we kind of just try to figure out like, what are we good at, and like how can we leverage that to the best of our ability. And he's great at communicating. I think we both try to be our best at that. And we also like hold the responsibility of just like pushing this project forward in general. So if progress isn't moving, then I think both of us every now and then will like balance each other out and say like, oh, we got to get on this, you know, we got to do this thing. So that's where we're at now.
I love to hear that. I mean, having a true co-founder is definitely a rare thing in startups, and having someone that like is actually going to help you push things forward and isn't just there for the ride, but is also there to drive the train if they need to. What emotions are you hoping to evoke in people when they see a bottle of Nuvora on the shelf?
Honestly, so in terms of emotion, I didn't think that far into it. Like I didn't get far enough to be able to think about like all the different aspects of like what a customer would feel when they saw the bottle. But I will say that we were trying to create a design that stood out from the shelves, and that was like our main focus. So we wanted to create something, I guess, that did evoke the emotion of like interest or curiosity. Because most drinks out there, they either have like a super white label or super colorful, like if you're going to the premium end of things. And like we want to use color, but we realized there wasn't a lot of dark labels, and there wasn't like a lot of scenery like on labels themselves. And so I figured like after some revision that putting like a mountainscape with some like basically stars on our label with a darker color definitely stood out more. And it's I hope it's like intrigue inducing to people that see it for the first time. So that was kind of like the focus we had with it. Came through several revisions. I think it was darker at first with like no mountains, but yeah, we've ended up with the label that we have now. I guess you could put on the screen.
On the screen here off, but I want to pass it back over to you, Justin. Talk a bit more about team dynamics. How do your day-to-days work, and how do you guys go about, you know, conflict resolution, coming up with new ideas, and deciding where to go next when it comes to evolving the product?
Yeah, so to hit on your first question there, we had an old co-founder before, as Matt was kind of discussing, and neither of us could do design work. I felt like I had a good grasp on formulation since I did all that myself, and then I did like basically reaching out to all the suppliers, getting quotes, getting, you know, just connections in that side of the industry. But I knew nothing as much as far as design was concerned, and I needed someone to come aboard to help us with that. And when Matt came into the company, I don't know, you just kind of hit the ground running with like working hard, and honestly got to the point where he was like putting in so much more work, and I was like, you know, this would be a heck of a co-founder to have on board. So that's kind of where Matt came from. And then day-to-day wise, so Matt and I communicate a lot through voice memos. We also have calls we'll set up, and then sometimes, you know, we'll have like an emergency call if there's something like imminent to go over. But we have a very, I'd say, a pretty organized way of working. We have an ongoing task sheet. We have, we keep everything in a Google Drive together. So Matt's been pretty instrumental in organizing all of that and making sure that it's easy for us to figure out what we're all working on at the time. And with our team of interns too, it's definitely important to know, okay, who's working on what, who can work on what. Conflict resolution would be just kind of us setting up a call and discussing the topic and then coming to a solution. I think both of us are very open to each other's opinions, so it works out in that sense for us.
I feel like if we do have a conflict that we just can't agree, like we've had that before where it takes us like days to agree on like the tiniest detail or something. And I think we just keep going back and forth until one of us either says, okay, well, this is a tiny detail, it's not worth like all this trouble, or one of us starts to like slowly see the other's point of view. So it's a slow process if we do disagree, but at least it's never pitchforks and yelling at each other. So that's good.
I'd also love to hear, when you guys started, how things have been going since you guys started. What has the process been like? What have been the biggest wins and maybe some of the biggest losses as well?
Yeah, I can go with some of the biggest wins was like halfway through the summer of 2025, us rebranding. And I think it was just a big challenge for us to do. And obviously, we don't know the outcome of how much more sales or how much more attention that would have generated because we weren't selling and we're just launching basically now. So we don't have that data to compare, like, was it actually a success? But in our eyes, with who we've spoken with, who we've talked to, and who's like given feedback on the redesign of our brand, we've actually went from our brand's name being Level, which is a little too generic for legal purposes, to Nuvora. And as you can tell with just how different the names sound and like what they mean, it's a completely different thing. It felt long in the moment, but I think we did it in like a month and a half, I believe. And it was like from start to finish. We changed labels, we changed branding, we changed color palettes, we changed slogans, we changed mantras, like it was everything. So I think that was a pretty big success that I was like stressed out about at the time, but it worked out well.
To hit on your point of the rebrand, so kind of the way we decided upon all that too was we ran surveys. We hit up our close friends, we hit up family. We had basically had them vote on name, on logo, on even the font we were going to use for that. Every little detail does matter. So we, through all of that, because Matt and I, obviously with that, there's a lot to decide between. We needed some outside opinions because, of course, there's going to be some disagreements among there. So, yeah, it's been a fun, interesting process, and it's been cool like having people collaborate with us to help build this thing. So, in terms of losses, I don't look at it as anything really as a loss. I look at it as a learning experience. Even the rebrand was like, okay, could you consider it a loss because we had to, spend our time trying to change everything? Yeah, but in the same way, it's like I think this is gonna lead to a lot more long-term success. So I'd consider that to be a win.
I think like the biggest struggle that we've had isn't a loss, but it's like a difficulty or a challenge that not only us would face, but it's being a new player in the industry and having potential business partners or future relationships take you seriously in terms of doing business with you or like lending you a helping hand at the beginning while you're getting started. Because, for example, in manufacturing a drink like this, we have minimum order quantities for each ingredient, and also the co-packer, which is the party that helps facilitate bottling the drink and then packaging it and then selling it. And so all these people like kind of need to stoop down a little bit to help us out as we grow and as we get started. And it's been a very hard process and very long. Like Justin, you know how long it's taken us to find some of these people, to find people that actually will work with us. And so I think that's like a big thing for anyone who's starting a business that we didn't think about, is that everything that we have been doing that requires working with a new team or a new person or a new company requires like 3 times the amount of time that we thought it would take for us to start moving with that party. That's like a big struggle that I think everyone's just going to go through.
And to hit on Matt's point with the struggle there, I guess the reason it is more of a struggle is because these co-packers don't essentially make a profit on you until later production runs. So when they do take you on, it's like it's a risk for them too. It's kind of like them investing in you in a way, and like saying, we believe in this product, we believe in this company, we think that they're going to have more production runs in the future. Let's work together, try and get this, best possible price so that they can stay afloat long term. And so that's kind of where those relationships have to be formed.
Yeah, I mean, and that makes a lot of sense. I'd love to hear from you guys. Like, what was the process of getting your first manufacturer? I know you guys were talking about some of your takeaways, but I'd love to hear kind of the step-by-step, how did you guys get the bottles manufactured in the first place and get to where you guys are right now, pre-orders and a launch soon?
My original plan was to have this formulation and everything done by another company. So we were going to pay someone to actually create our first flavor of the product, which obviously I ended up doing all of the formulation and stuff for, so we didn't do that. But through that, I got a connection. Her name was Leslie, and she works with one of the top co-packers in the country. I had an hour-long call with her. She really liked our idea, our product, our brand, and she just wanted to help us, for the sake of it. Basically send me an email with like 7 bullet points of how to take this thing from idea to launch. In those bullet points, she'd give me different suppliers we could reach out to, different connections she has in the industry. So that was monumental in like figuring out where to go with things, how to get started.
I'd love to zoom back in on the product. Where is Nuvora right now? What is your goals in the next couple of months? What is your goals overall in the future?
Yeah, so our biggest goal right now is to get launched. It's actually a pretty exciting time for Matt and I. We're finally seeing, the fruit's about to be ripe, I guess you would say. It's finally that season. So we're gearing up for our launch here, hopefully in January. And I'll share a little story. So when I was at the Future Founders conference in Chicago, I went to a dinner with Matt and some other founders afterwards. And we had just opened up pre-orders, but we hadn't made any announcements about it or anything like that. And I was having a conversation with some women at a table, that I had just met, also at the dinner with us. And they were telling me how they put collagen in their coffee every morning and, in their water. And it's like they basically just don't have an option to make it taste better. And it's also a process. They're just having to pour the powder every time. It's messy, it's sticky, it's not the most ideal situation. So when I told her about my product, she was super excited. She actually went on our website, didn't even tell me she was doing this, but went through the checkout and made our first ever, purchase order. So
huge.
And the really cool thing there was right after she did that, the lady next to her looked over her shoulder and did the exact same thing. And we ended up getting 7 orders that night from that one table. So pretty incredible. That wasn't my goal at all, but it was really, and it's getting to the point where it's a very exciting time coming up, but it's also a very we got to walk in time. So
yeah. If you're one of those 9 people, because I know that there's 9 pre-orders, so including you, Brandon, but if you're one of those 9, thank you so much. It's an exciting time right now because maybe by the time this is released, we're launched. And so who knows, that would be ideal. That's the goal. I understand it's probably gonna take longer than that, but yeah, we're looking to end of January, beginning of February, latest in 26 launch. And so we're super excited about that. Once we do, I think honestly, we're putting more energy into keeping ourselves grounded, like you said, Brandon, keeping a real lens over what we are looking at for the coming year to not get ahead of ourselves, because we have so many different drink ideas and so many different product ideas. And we have clothing that we're going to be releasing sometime soon, but we can't get ahead of ourselves. We have to put more energy into putting blinders on mentally and focusing on what's in front of us. So we'll probably be launching and then focusing on just stabilizing our business monetarily, but also process wise, making sure that everything is going to be smooth sailing for just manufacturing this one drink. And we don't know when the next project or the next product will launch, but we can only kind of hope that it all goes well and that it's sooner rather than later.
I love that. I mean, I'm happy for you guys. You said, one of the pre-orders, I got to try your drink. I guess to close up very quickly, I'd love to give you guys an open floor to tell anyone who's watching where they can support you, what support you're looking for, etc. What do you hope someone watching this gets out of hearing you guys talk?
Yeah, honestly, so you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Drink Nuvora. That's the handle. Nuvora. Honestly, I really just think like if you want to try one of our drinks, you can keep updated by following one of those pages. You can also like find out when we're going to release and just see if there's any other cool things that we're doing. Because we also plan to have some events maybe within the 2 years coming up that we want to be like a widespread community thing. But yeah, the main thing that we want is for people to be a little more educated and to care a little bit more about their health. So we're hoping that we can kind of like build on that movement that's already happening, that we're not starting, but that we can just build on it, of people protecting themselves long term, focusing on what's healthy and not just what tastes good or looks good, and kind of appreciating the one bodies that we all are living in.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say you don't put bad gasoline in your car. If you do, it's not going to run very well. And I think that a lot of America, unfortunately, is like that. If you go to the store nowadays and you look at a nutrition label for even something like as simple as gum, it's loaded with artificial ingredients. There's so many bad things in products nowadays that it's honestly just mind blowing. And you have the FDA finally ruling out, some of the colors that, like the food dyes that are out there that are, harming people. But it's like, just take care of your bodies, take care of your health. It's, you have one life, and it's like, you want to live to see your family one day. You want to live to see the grandkids. And so just keeping like a clear mind and like a good diet is going to take you so far. And for regular gym goers like myself and Matt, it's like, and Brandon, you said you play basketball, right? You ever gotten like a cramp after one of your games? It's like there isn't really a whole lot of solutions out there to help solve that. And then, our goal is to definitely bridge that gap for you. So, but yeah, definitely follow us. Drink Nuvora. drinknuvora.com is our website. And, if you have a goal or a vision in life, chase it, and try and build a community that can help you do that.